Hello, everyone. It is a new week and time for a new episode, I guess, of Brand Swan Live. Jen here, your friendly company co-founder, to introduce our speaker for this week. I am really excited for today's speaker. Her name's Heather Klemanski, and I have actually been working with her for myself as a coach. And so Heather's been helping me dig into some mindfulness and some values and some identity, like some of that really nitty gritty stuff that makes up who we are. So I'm really excited to see what she has to say about self-compassion today. Just to give you a little more background about Heather, she, in addition to being a coach, she is a professional retreat facilitator. She's a mindfulness and self-compassion facilitator, self-love advocate, and inspirational speaker. I cannot say enough good things about Heather, so I'll just stop even trying and I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here today and to share more about self-compassion and self-love. So as Jen was saying, I am a retreat facilitator, and I weave mindfulness, self-compassion, and self-love into those retreats. And it's just really a place to, spend time with yourself and to go inwards and to talk with yourself with that voice that is already there, that is intuitive, and that you know the answers to the questions that are asked. So my role is really just to be a guide and, helping you to explore those deeper questions that you may be wondering about. So today I really wanted to talk about self-compassion because I feel very strongly about it. It was something that has been very helpful for me. And so I want to kind of just delve into it a little bit and just explore it. And as I was thinking about self-compassion and this road to it and how I found it, what really started with me wanting to increase my self-love. And as I think about self-love, for me, it was about this destination and this place of arrival, right? And I thought about, when I get here and I reach this place, everything's going to be wonderful. I'm going to feel good about myself. Everything's going to feel great. And it's that if statement, right? If this happens, then I'll be okay, right? So when I think about it from that place, right, for me, it was, well, if I get into a relationship with someone that really cares about me and I care about them, then I'll be happy. Or, maybe it's for you, it might be something like, when my business does X, maybe it's make this certain amount of money, or I have this certain amount of clients, then I'll be happy, or, I'll feel more secure, right? So it's this place of arriving at, when I get here, then I'm going to be okay, and that things will be magically great. And I think about that because it's this path towards arriving here and reaching this. But what is that, right? And so what happens along the way of this path to this place, it's littered with all these other things that we push away. And what I mean by that is, think about the emotions that you don't want to address, or the feelings. So maybe it's something like anger or frustration. Maybe you're frustrated that you're not reaching this place quick enough, or maybe you're not getting enough clients, or you want to be in a relationship but you're not meeting anybody, and so you're angry and frustrated and you're pushing away because you want to get to the good, right? You want to just arrive here and get there. And so that path, as you get there and you look over it, is littered with all these things of regret, anger, frustration, remorse. And it's all these other things that are part of your experience and part of who you are, that until we meet that place, it can be really frustrating because you're not experiencing all of it. And so when you look at the great place of who you are and what your experiences are, what's really important is this moment right here. That's where the magic is. It's meeting yourself in this moment and saying, I'm okay, warts and all, scars and all, and just knowing that you can turn towards these emotions that might be hard to face, or these situations and challenges with a little bit of kindness and care, right? And so it's meeting your pain and your suffering with kindness and care versus self-judgment or criticism. And so that's how I came to this place of arrival of where I am with discovering self-love and acceptance by saying, this tool that I have of self-compassion, I can meet myself with kindness and not say, oh, I'm such a horrible person because I haven't met somebody, or I haven't been, able to achieve these goals that I have. You can still have them, but you can meet them with kindness and care versus this place of saying, I don't belong because I don't have XYZ. So I asked a question earlier this week about self-compassion and actually just compassion itself. And that question is, what are the ingredients that are needed for just compassion? What ingredients do you need to have compassion? So I'd like, if you're in the room here, to maybe just put that in the chat or on Facebook. You can do the same. But what ingredients do you think are needed for compassion? And I'm going to just look while we're waiting on those responses to just bring up some of the responses that we received earlier this week, because I think they're really important ones. So some of them that we received were experience are probably the base ingredient for compassion. People with limited experiences tend to have limited compassion. So experiences can be a number of things: relationships, travel, work, education, etc. Another response was the Holy Spirit changing the way you think. And then another one was compassion for yourself leads to compassion for others. And let's see, some of the things that we're receiving here are, I think it's easier to be compassionate with myself if I imagine what I would say to someone else. Patience with my journey, not always expecting perfection for myself and others. And when I experience others' compassion towards me, it helps me to be more compassionate for myself. And Kelsey, are we getting anything from Facebook that you want to share? It's a little slow.
So we're on like about a 5-second delay or so. So far, nothing yet, but I'll pop back in.
Okay. Another thing that just came in is accepting and understanding that mistakes and missteps are an important part of my growth. Yeah, so these are all really important parts of compassion, and also leading into self-compassion too, right? So it's noticing suffering, and it could be for yourself or for someone else, and just noticing that there's suffering taking place. Responding with kindness. And the last one is just feeling connected. It's so important to feel connected in to what is actually experienced. And that can be with yourself or with someone else in that experience that's taking place. So self-compassion is taking all those same components and applying them to yourself. So I want to give you an example. I have worked also in the corporate world in project management. And one of the things that happened to me is that I was leading a project and I was supposed to put some requirements together. And in that document, there was some information that needed to be, that helped to build the project out. And I put the wrong file in that document. So everything got approved, got sent out, and the technology team started building everything, got completed, and then found out that it was the wrong file. So all these people did all this work, and I felt really bad because I didn't mean to do it. I just put the wrong file in. And so instead of beating myself up and saying, oh my God, I'm such a horrible person, what's wrong with me? I learned how to turn towards myself with a little bit of kindness and say, it was a mistake. I didn't mean to do this. And I'm really sorry that all these other people had to do extra work to fix this and that they had to go back. But, instead of turning towards myself with judgment, I said, okay, I'm human. That's part of my humanity, is I made a mistake, and that's what we do. So I want to really jump into that. I did see one more comment that came through. Another comment was seeing lack of success as learning and not as failure. Yeah, so all these components are really all part of compassion, and they make up self-compassion. It's taking exactly what you would give to someone else and giving it to yourself. So let's dig into those three components that I was talking about. And the good news is I'm not going to be sitting here talking the whole time. We're actually going to practice. I'm going to show you some things that you can do to give yourself self-compassion. So a few more minutes of me talking, then we're actually going to do some experience together. So self-kindness versus self-judgment, right? So what does that look like? So it's treating yourself with the same kindness and care that you would a friend. You're supporting yourself in the same manner. And so when we treat ourselves more harshly than we would a friend, so let's ask yourself a question. If you had a friend that came to you and said, I'm having a really hard time because, like I said to you earlier, I made a mistake, would you say to them, oh my God, what's wrong with you? Can't believe you did that. You're so stupid. Probably not, right? And if you did, do you think you'd probably have that friend for long? No. But why is it okay that we talk to ourselves in that same way? It's not. But so often we do. We treat ourselves much differently than we treat our friends and our loved ones. Yeah. And that's that harsh negative voice. So when you can turn towards yourself with some kindness in the same way that you would treat your friend, that's that self-kindness that comes up in self-compassion. And this self-kindness really is just this wish to alleviate your suffering. It's turning towards yourself and saying, I wish you well. I wish goodness towards you. And it's giving yourself these kind words and different phrases to say, I don't wish you to be suffering. So the next part is common humanity versus isolation. Sometimes when you're feeling this shame or dealing with a difficult situation, it can be really easy to isolate, right? And what happens with common humanity is when you start to share it, you see that your imperfection is part of the larger human experience. And you're recognizing that everyone suffers. And while your pain and my pain may not be the same, we can share together in that pain. And what I mean by that is, if you share your story with me and say, I'm having a really hard time right now, and I can say, I'm really sorry for that, that's shared humanity, because we all have moments of pain and suffering, and you're not alone. And this creates a feeling of normality, right? It eliminates feeling abnormal. You know, oftentimes you can feel like you're out alone on this island of I'm alone and nobody can understand what I'm going through because it's so unique. And that can lead to shame and isolation. But sharing the experience, you're actually recognizing that you're not alone. And the other people have these moments of pain and suffering, and that's what connects you. And then the last part is mindfulness, and that's over identification. So instead of really identifying with this pain and saying, this is who I am, you're bringing mindfulness to the fact that you have suffering without trying to change it. So instead of saying, I'm not going to do anything about it, it's holding it with loving awareness and saying, I'm going to be with it and acknowledge that I have this pain, but I'm not going to try to fix it or do anything with it. I'm just going to be with it. And this allows you to turn towards it and be with it. And that brings that balanced state of awareness. So you're holding it with holding the pain, but also allowing yourself to feel it. So there's a part of self-compassion that I want to talk about, because you've probably heard me say now several times, being with the pain. And so when you think of self-compassion, it feels very soft and very nurturing. And sometimes when you talk about that, it can bring up feelings of resistance because you don't want to sit with that or be with it. But what's really interesting with self-compassion, and as you go towards these experiences is that there's two sides to it, and it's called the yin and yang of self-compassion. And so what I mean with it is that's that being side, there's also a doing side. And in that doing side, it's fierce compassion. And so what that looks like is it's acknowledging that there's pain, but that you're going to do something with it. And so that could look like perhaps maybe it's if you're holding that pain and you're having a moment where if you're experiencing urges to maybe use an addictive substance, you know, sometimes when you're avoiding feelings, it could be drugs, alcohol, sex, food, smoking. There's so many different things, sugar. Yeah, there's so many things that you turn towards because you don't want to feel that pain. So it's saying, I'm going to acknowledge that I'm feeling it and bring some well wishes to myself. And the doing part is saying, I'm going to say no because I deserve more and I matter. And when you can say that I matter and I'm going to stand up for myself and what I need, that brings that motivation in to say I'm going to allow myself to have more satisfaction in my life and not turn towards the pain and avoid it. And so the other part could be, it could be maybe even just standing up to somebody who's not treating you well, right? Maybe it's saying, I'm not going to allow this. I'm not going to allow you to treat me in this way because my voice matters and my voice is important. So I'm going to stand up and say no, but I'm also going to acknowledge this pain that I have and hold it with kindness and care. So that's that fierce compassion. And we actually need the yin and yang in our daily life. You have to be with it and you have to do something with it. And that's what brings that balance in. There's a quote by Joan Halifax that's called strong back and soft front. And I think that's really a great way to look at self-compassion, is that you're building a strong back and a soft front. So I want to pause here before we jump in and see if there's any questions. Anybody have any comments about what we went over before we do a couple experiences together? So it looks like there's no questions coming in here. And I know there's a delay. So I think just to keep things moving, if there is a question that comes through, we can catch it at the end, if that's okay. All right, perfect. So if everybody's up to it, like to do a couple practice together, we'll do two quick ones that will show you how to give yourself some self-compassion in the moment. In an active way, right? This is some quick ways to just turn towards yourself if you're experiencing a difficult situation or moment. The first one is going to be using your body and just tuning into some different senses by placing your hand on your body in different positions and just noticing, where do you feel a soothing touch? Where does it resonate and feel really comforting to you? So just going to ask you to just notice. That's it. All I'm going to ask is just notice what feels comforting for you. And if you'd like, you can close your eyes because this is your experience and this is about you. So what we're going to do is we're just going to run through. I'm going to tell you where to place your hand. And as you're doing this, just notice, does it feel warm? Does it feel comforting? This is a great way for you to just tune into, where's this sensation of comfort that's coming for me as I do each of these. So the first place that you're going to put your hand is on your cheek, and just resting your hand on your cheek and just noticing, is it warm, comforting? Does that resonate with you? And you can cup your cheek or just place your hands, place your fingertips there, either way. And then the next place is placing your hand on your heart. And as you're going through these, just noticing which one feels really warm and soothing and comforting. And you could do two hands if you'd like. Or you could place one hand on your heart and one on your belly. Or you could place both hands on your belly. You could put one hand on your forearm, just resting your hand there. Or if you like, you could stroke your own arm. Just a nice, gentle touch. You could hold your own hands. And you could do that one of two ways. You could either grip them together like this and cup them, or you can lace them together. Just noticing and practicing with both to see which one may feel more comforting to you. And then the last one is you can place a hand on your thigh. And just feeling what that feels like. And then just taking a few moments to go back through each of those positions and noticing which one really resonates for you and brings in that own soothing and nurturing for yourself. And there can be more than one. Don't have to just choose one. And so the way that you can use these is when you're in a moment where maybe you feel nervous, you can place your hand on your heart or somewhere else, and nobody's going to know that you're offering yourself a little bit of comfort, right? You can silently encourage yourself. I'm going to show you that in a moment, but place a hand on your heart. Nobody knows that you're doing that, or hold your own hands and just say, may I be kind to myself right now. And that's just a nice way to just be soothing and, to instead of critical, oftentimes if you're in this place where it's a difficult time, like if you're about to lead a meeting or, speak at a public event, it can be challenging. Or if you're maybe meeting a new person, maybe if you're dating, it can be really hard. And so just giving yourself that moment of acknowledgement that this is kind of hard right now, and soothing yourself with that is a way to really calm down your nervous system. So I want to lead into the next activity, but I want to talk about it for a moment. So we're going to do what's called a self-compassion break. And so with a self-compassion break, I'm showing you how to offer yourself some kindness and care during a difficult situation. So I will be asking you to bring up something that might be challenging for you. And the reason why we do this is you might be saying, why would I want to go back into something that I'm dealing with or had a fight, right? Doing that because this is a way to show you how to go forward so that when you're in a moment where you're having a hard time, you have something to turn towards, because this is a skill and a practice that you can turn towards anytime. So you're bringing up something now that might be hard, and it's not to go back to heal it. It's so that you can go forward in anything that you may be dealing with. So I am going to ask you to bring up something that you might be dealing with right now that's challenging. Do ask that you don't bring up your most challenging and difficult situation in your life because you don't want to overwhelm yourself. This is about just practicing and tuning into what it actually feels like to truly talk to yourself with kindness and care. So that could look like, maybe you had a recent fight with someone you care about. Maybe it's a work challenge that you have, or feeling nervous about talking to somebody about something maybe they said to you, but enough that it's going to bring up some sensations in the body, a little bit of that difficult feelings, but not enough to where you're choosing something that's your most overwhelming. So, okay. All right. So what we're going to do is, if it feels comfortable for you, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes. The sound of this bell is going to be the start of our practice together. And as you close your eyes, finding a position that's comfortable for you, one that will support this practice and this time together. And just bringing your attention now to your breath for a moment, and just noticing that you're breathing. And that your breath is flowing through your body, starting from the tip of your nose or mouth. And following it as it flows into the chest or the belly, and then back out again. Just a sense of awareness that you're breathing. And inviting you now to bring up that difficult situation that I mentioned. One that won't overwhelm you, but enough to bring up some sensations and emotions that you can feel into it. And just taking a walk back through that experience, allowing yourself to play out what happened, who was there, and what was said. And again, not choosing anything that's going to overwhelm you, but enough that you feel and notice the discomfort. And we do this because we don't want to overwhelm ourselves as we're first learning the skill of self-compassion. And just taking a few moments to go through that scenario of what happened. And seeing if you can bring your attention to where you're feeling it in your body right now. That discomfort and those sensations. Noticing where you feel it the most in the body. And then saying slowly and to yourself that this is a moment of suffering. That this is really hard. This is mindfulness. This is bringing awareness to the pain and suffering that you're experiencing. And next, saying, this is really hard, and that suffering is a part of living. And I'm not alone. And this is common humanity. This is what connects us all. These moments of pain. You could even say others have experienced suffering and pain. And I'm not alone. And then offering yourself some kindness by saying to yourself, may I be kind to myself. And that's self-kindness and self-compassion. Offering yourself these well wishes of care. You could even say, may I be happy. You could place your hand on your heart or any other position that felt comforting and soothing to you as you do this. And just repeating silently, may I be kind to myself. The words like a soft breeze, nice and gentle, flowing through you. May I be at peace. You could even put it all together and say something like, darling, this is really hard, but I'm not alone. May I be kind to myself. And if your mind wanders, you can move your hand to another supportive and soothing touch. Because this is your time. There's nowhere to be. There's nothing to do. Just offering gentleness and kindness to you. May I be kind to myself. May I be at ease. May I be happy. May I be at peace. And if the words and phrases don't resonate, asking yourself, what would you tell a friend? What do you need to hear right now? And just exploring with that. As you ask yourself, what do I need to hear? And then just releasing these phrases in the practice, just sitting for the next few moments with whatever arises in this moment, in this body, in this experience, and simply noticing. And then when you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes. Just taking a moment to reorient yourself to here and now. I always like to say you could take a stretch. It's a good way to come back into the body. So before we turn to any questions, I do want to just say one last thing about self-compassion. There's many benefits to it. It's a great way to increase your life satisfaction and to use it as a motivational tool. There's a lot of evidence that shows that it helps with decreasing depression and anxiety. But it's a slow process. And I say that because oftentimes it can be, you want to be eager to be, I'm going to be compassionate, and that's part of being hard on yourself, right? And so I say that because as you start to work with self-compassion, part of this can be there may be wells of emotions that come up. And when that happens, it's okay to step back from it and to do something that's kind for yourself. And that can look like maybe just returning to the breath in the meditation, or asking yourself, what do I need? And it could be to go get a cup of tea, or to take a walk, or, call a friend. This is about kindness to yourself, and not pushing through to feel and heal. It's about how can you be kind to yourself in the best way possible. And sometimes that means taking a break. And sometimes when you do start self-compassion, you can start to have that overwhelm of emotions, because you're opening the door to what may be there has been felt for a while. So we often say love reveals all that is unlike itself. And so that's what's starting to happen. So I do want to just pause here and see if there's any questions or comments.
Okay, real quick. We are actually going to cut the Facebook live stream so that everyone in here feels comfortable turning cameras on and talking as a group. So thank you, Facebook. You've been great. We'll see you. I don't think we have a workshop next week, but we'll be announcing future workshops. Oh, we've got Kelsey actually coming in to talk about content calendars on the
26th.
26th. Thank you, Kelsey. So again, everyone who is watching on Facebook, we'll make all of the resources Heather mentioned available. You'll be able to watch this video whenever you want, and we'll share a special resource she has for this group watching this workshop in the comments.